Hi, I'm Ludo Kockelkorn, PAM Netherlands Senior Experts. We support small and medium-sized companies in 34 developing countries and emerging markets, and we do that for 40 different sectors. I'm involved in the sector of business incubator and vocational training. A business incubation community is a organization which joins forces to create more companies and jobs via the cooperation between startup companies, investors, universities and public authorities. We give advice on location and via remote coaching. Enjoy this video on my personal YouTube channel. This training will be a training for self-employment and entrepreneurship, and PAM is doing quite a good job to support young people to create jobs instead of finding and looking and seeking for a job. So that is this training all about. How can you learn something to become an entrepreneur and to become also a job creator as part of the self-employment. Some financial problems in life, and let us start us with that, is that first of all, little income or capital is something which a huge amount of the population of the world has to deal with. And sometimes this has to do with having no job or not having a company by itself. Also, the thing is that too much expenses is important to look at. And if you have less savings and even forgotten taxes, then you have also some financial problems. In the end, you see that investments in time and money have little income. And that is what we are trying to work on in this training video. During the last decades, we had a kind of traditional learning, and most of the viewers of this training video will have experience with that. The professor is telling you what you need to know, then he is checking if you can memorize it, and afterwards he is telling you that you have a problem where you need that knowledge for. But in the more modern way of working on training and improvement of the financial situation, it might be also that you go from problem assignment to figure out what you need to know and then learn and apply to solve that problem. So starting with problem-based learning. There are some reasons for success and also for financial independency. People who have a lot of financial success have most of the time quite innovative ideas, and you need to talk about that. They have right skills, and the idea is that you can learn that. Of course, the capacities of persons differ just after birth, but you can learn quite a lot of finding out how right skills has to be used. The personal remote network is also something to look at and improve at. And of course, becoming an entrepreneur is also hard work. It's top sport, and you have to train and invest quite a lot of time to create a successful company. You have to constantly selling your service. So always remember that the client is very close to you. You have always explained how you can work on your service and how someone can get help from you, and of course he has to pay for that as well. And in the end, you need to have a kind of business model, but I will explain that later on, and start and accelerate with that. There is written a book about lean startups and how you can start that by doing three things: learn, build, and measure. And I will come back to these three things later on. To learn things, it's good that you have at least some work experiences. So my advice is visit a farm, visit a shop, go to a company, talk about business. Um, and if you go a step further, adopt a farmer, go for a shopkeeper, or get acquainted with the business family. So you need to have a network of those people who have already a company, and do income generating projects, not projects just the professor is looking at, or he or she finds it very interesting, but also that those projects have to generate some income. Start your business lean, only three things: learning, building, measuring, and it will become more complex later on. And later on, you can accelerate with business model generation or business model canvas, but that is also something for a course later on. Now, what have you to learn for self-employment? I think it's good to have at least an overview or a look at the labor market and about job profiles. What is something which people in your area or in your country really need? And that is also something where your opportunities might be. Learn things you really need for that job or the company you want to start. So learning is not something that you see in the end that what might be the opportunity of that training or course or degree, but right from the beginning, learn things you really need. And choose an active learning method. And that means that you have to learn, you have to work, and not sitting around in a classroom and waiting, but start with working on it and start with really building a business. Train your skills and look after your personal skills, your technical skills, and financial skills. And with technical, I mean not really become an engineer, but you need to know really quite in depth the know-how and the knowledge you need about a certain skill. Try to organize work experiences near a campus or back home, that at least you see what is going on in real businesses. And go for work placements and cooperation where you really can train yourself and learn something you need. Of course, finding a good trainer, a good coach, and not just the one who is in front of you, but the one where you can learn as much as possible. And organize quality assurance and innovation management. These are more or less two things, but quality assurance has to do with the quality, of course, and you have to improve yourself step by step by planning, doing, acting, and checking. And innovation needs to be done to become creative, finding solutions for problems people in your region or community or country have. And contact external stakeholders in the market. They know what the business is all about, and they will not tell you immediately all the secrets, but with every discussion and talking with stakeholders, you learn step by step what is important. Build a business has to do with building a real product and a real service. Here you see well-known business model canvas. We come to this perhaps later on in the training, or you can see and look at Google for business model generation, business model canvas to explain what this is all about. But you can imagine that when you have customers at the one side, that you need products and services to care about their problems and solve those problems. And to do that very well, you need to have key activities, key partners, and key resources to become a good entrepreneur. And in the end, of course, revenues and costs are the two vital things to measure and to check. So that is the third point of a lean startup, that you have to measure your results. And two main things are very important. The cash book, of course, you have to check your income, your expenses, your savings, your taxes every week, every month, every year. And of course, you look to your client, and then you have to look at the 4 P's: product, price, place, promotion. These are the 4 vital things of marketing, and you have to measure how good is your product. Is the price well enough, not too high, not too low? Are you on the right spot with your products and services? And how is that promotion going on? And how you perform on that field? And of course, personnel, process, and physical evidence are the last 3 steps of marketing. But these came later on to the 4 most important ones. And of course, when you want to measure, then you have to look at the cycle of plan, do, check, act. And that means that you need to have detailed information about the history of these kind of figures, the forecast for your income, expenses, savings, and taxes, and the results. So history, forecast, results measurement is very important. Now you're halfway through this presentation. I hope you understand it until now. And the advantage of these kind of YouTube videos is that you can pause or move back or move forward. And you may also mail me for questions about this video. The rest of the information will follow from now on. Here you can see the PUM projects worldwide. You can see that we did things in Vietnam and India and Tanzania and Suriname. In some of those projects I was involved by myself. In India and Nepal, in Tanzania and Kenya. Those were projects in which I was really involved in. And it's interesting to be an expert for PUM, Netherlands Senior Experts. And of course, traveling to these countries and really meeting entrepreneurs and young people who want to start a company is a part of the fun of this being a volunteer for PUM. Some ideas for idea generation, and I mentioned some which came from and we have some experience with in the Netherlands, how to create more ideas for starting a company. And you see that the government has a top sector policy, and they decide in close cooperation with all kind of stakeholders what are the research proposals for huge enterprises and universities. So that is focusing on seaports, airports, and the making port of Eindhoven. And there you see also centers of expertise at universities and applied science. And you have kind of ecosystems of incubators. Ecosystems are communities with startups, with universities, with companies, public authorities, which focus on a certain area, have dedicated partners, and in the end, you see also worldwide patents. A completely different way of idea generation is an idea from universities, and especially at universities of applied science. Part of the study program was the mini enterprise program for students, where they got involved in thinking about and creating and really starting a company. And it might be from 10 weeks up to 1 year, depending a little bit about what kind of faculty those students were working on. Of course, there were governmental subsidies also for these kind of universities, and they were focusing on challenges in the society. So not inventing something which you like to want to invent, but also focusing on challenges in the society. And this might be electrical driving or smart buildings or new energy. Those kind of societal challenges are challenges in the Netherlands, and of course in your countries. And this might be completely different, might be also a challenge in the city, but it might help that that kind of ecosystem is focusing on a certain area. And of course, the Innovation Award was also something which was part of the fun, that you got you got a prize when you had the best solution. Some points are more open innovation formulas called hackathons, makeathons, or adventured business challenges, where corporations and public institutions work closely together with universities. Here you see my own track record. I supported, and this is some historical information, I supported 18 companies in the years 2010 up to 2015, sorry. And you see that in the beginning, idea generation is quite easy. On the one hand, it's complex, but turning that into a successful business in the end and launch that product and service, that was quite difficult. So not every startup company will survive after so many years. And on the right side, you can see the pump projects in which I was involved. This is also an example of a real-life learning lab, together with building companies, universities, students. We worked on a real-life learning lab in which we designed and built also real houses and looked for zero energy houses, material neutral houses, food and energy concepts, zero water things, and applications. So this real life learning lab was on the one hand learning, on the one hand the other hand research, but also really building and demonstrating the successes. And here you see all the logos of the companies which were involved, and you can imagine that when you do that with 25 different organizations, that is quite complex, but in the end you have also the success of having a real district of tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching this video of Ludo Kockelkorn, PAM Netherlands Senior Experts. Please let me know if you need further explanation or advice. More information about me can be found on LinkedIn and Facebook. Thank you very much and a lot of success with this training video.